Sand dunes rise 500 feet into the sky, shifting from gold to orange to deep pink as the sun moves across the horizon. These are the Erg Chebi Dunes of Morocco, the gateway to a country that draws more travelers than any other in Africa. Over 17 million visitors discovered its wonders last year alone. What brings them here goes far beyond the famous orange-tinted walls of Marrakech or the blue-painted streets that tumble down a mountain village. This country hides 9 UNESCO World Heritage Sites within ancient medinas. The world's oldest university still teaching behind 1,000-year-old walls, and a mud brick fortress so perfectly preserved that Hollywood keeps returning to film its ancient towers. Morocco operates on impossible contrasts. North Africa's highest peak rises nearly 14,000 feet above sea level, close enough to ski in the morning before walking desert sands by afternoon. Waterfalls plunge through mountain gorges where wild macaques swing through the mist. Ancient tanneries dye leather in rainbow vats using methods unchanged for 8 centuries. And at the edge of the Sahara, camel caravans still cross dunes that stretch 17 miles under skies so clear the stars seem close enough to touch. Where Africa meets Europe. Where desert meets ocean. Where the ancient world never ended. Stay with us to uncover the hidden wonders of this extraordinary country and discover why Morocco remains the place that travelers never stop dreaming about. The Red City pulses with life at the foot of the Atlas Mountains. Founded in 1070 by the Almoravids, this imperial city draws its name from the Berber words for land of God. Red sandstone walls enclose a world where medieval traditions thrive alongside modern Morocco. The city spreads across desert plains, its palm groves and gardens creating an oasis that has attracted traders, scholars, and travelers for nearly 1,000 years. The Marrakech Medina stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, its ancient walls containing centuries of human stories. These ramparts stretch for 19 kilometers, built from the distinctive red clay that gives the city its color. Inside, narrow alleyways twist between riads and workshops where craftsmen practice trades passed down through generations. The Medina operates by its own rhythm, where donkey carts navigate passages too narrow for cars, and the scent of leather, spices, and orange blossoms mingles in the air. At the Medina's heart beats Djemaa el-Fna, a square unlike any other on earth. By day, snake charmers, water sellers, and henna artists fill this vast open space. As sunset approaches, the square transforms into an open-air theater where storytellers weave tales in Arabic and Berber. Food stalls emerge with the darkness, their smoke rising toward stars, while drummers and dancers perform for gathering crowds. This living spectacle has continued without pause for 900 years, recognized by UNESCO as a masterpiece of oral and intangible heritage. The Koutoubia Mosque rises 77 meters above the city, its minaret serving as Marrakech's spiritual compass. Completed in 1195 under the Almohad dynasty, this architectural masterpiece inspired the Giralda in Seville and Hassan Tower in Rabat. The mosque's name means bookseller's mosque, honoring the manuscript market that once flourished in its shadow. 5 times daily, the muezzin's call floats across the Red City from this tower, its green tiles and carved stone bands catching light as they have for 8 centuries. Beyond the Medina walls, a different kind of wonder awaits. This 12-acre sanctuary sits in the Ghouélies district, offering refuge from the Medina's endless energy. Created in the 1920s by French painter Jardin Majorelle, the garden took nearly 40 years to complete. Today, it stands as one of Morocco's most visited cultural sites, drawing over 700,000 visitors each year. The Majorelle Garden unfolds as a living canvas of color and form. Pathways wind through collections of cacti, palms, and bamboo groves that rustle in the desert breeze. Water channels and fountains create a cooling soundtrack, their gentle flow echoing Islamic garden traditions. The artist designed every vista, every turn, to reveal new compositions of light and shadow. The Majorelle blue buildings rise from the greenery like jewels set in emerald. This intense cobalt blue, now trademarked as Majorelle blue, covers the studio and surrounding structures. The color seems to vibrate in the North African sun, creating a visual intensity rarely found in nature. Against terracotta paths and green foliage, these buildings become sculptural elements in the garden's design. The exotic plant collection represents decades of careful cultivation from 5 continents. Giant cacti from the Americas tower alongside Asian bamboo forests and African succulents. Over 300 species thrive here, including rare specimens collected by Majorelle during his travels. Each plant zone creates its own microclimate, from desert landscapes to tropical corners where water lilies float in dark pools. Leaving the Red City behind, we travel north to where the Atlantic meets Africa's edge. This coastal metropolis pulses with modern energy, while ancient traditions flow through its veins. White buildings stretch toward the ocean under endless blue skies. Here, business suits pass by traditional jalabas, and glass towers rise alongside weathered Medina walls. The Hassan II Mosque commands the shoreline with breathtaking presence. Completed in 1993, its minaret soars 689 feet into the sky. This makes it the tallest religious structure in Africa. The mosque sits partially over the Atlantic, allowing worshippers to pray above the waves. 25,000 faithful can gather inside, while another 80,000 fill the courtyards. Behind the city's modern facade, The old Medina of Casablanca preserves centuries of history. These ancient quarters date back to the late 1700s, when Sultan Sidi Mohammed bin Abdallah rebuilt the city. Whitewashed walls create narrow passages where time moves differently. Local families have lived here for generations, maintaining customs that predate the French colonial period. The traditional souks within the Medina offer authentic glimpses into Moroccan daily life. Copper hammers ring out from metalworkers' stalls, while leather craftsmen shape bags and slippers by hand. Spice vendors display pyramids of cumin, paprika, and saffron that perfume the air. These markets operate much as they did 200 years ago, where haggling remains an art form and mint tea seals every deal. Where Atlantic waves crash against Casablanca's shore, one monument rises to meet both sea and sky with breathtaking grace. The Hassan II Mosque stands as a masterpiece of Moroccan craftsmanship and faith. Completed in 1993, after 6 years of construction, it claims its place as Africa's largest functioning mosque. Over 10,000 artisans from across Morocco brought this vision to life, creating a sacred space where ancient traditions meet modern engineering. The mosque's exterior commands attention from miles away. Its minaret soaring 689 feet into the coastal air. This makes it the world's tallest minaret, visible to ships far out at sea. The structure sits partially over the Atlantic Ocean, built on reclaimed land where waves break against its foundation. Intricate geometric patterns cover every surface, while hand-carved marble and cedar wood details catch the changing light throughout the day. Inside, the prayer hall reveals a space of extraordinary scale and beauty. 25,000 worshippers can gather beneath a retractable roof that opens to the heavens in just 3 minutes. Venetian chandeliers illuminate columns of pink granite from Agadir and marble floors that stay cool even in summer heat. The ablution halls contain 41 fountains crafted from local marble, each one unique in its carved details. The Hassan II Mosque serves as more than a place of worship for Casablanca's faithful. Its doors open to visitors of all backgrounds during specific hours, offering glimpses into Islamic art and architecture at its finest. The complex includes a madrasa, library, and museum that preserve Morocco's religious heritage. As Atlantic winds carry the call to prayer across the city 5 times daily, this modern marvel continues its dialogue between earth, sea, and sky. North of Casablanca, deep in the Rif Mountains, Chefchaouen awaits like a dream, rendered in blue. This mountain city clings to steep hillsides at 1,500 feet above sea level. Its buildings washed in every shade of blue imaginable. Founded in 1471 as a fortress against Portuguese invasions, Chefchaouen has transformed into one of Morocco's most extraordinary visual experiences. The blue tradition began with Jewish refugees in the 1930s, who painted their homes to mirror the sky and remind them of God's power. The blue Medina streets wind through the old city like rivers of cobalt and azure. Every wall, doorway, and staircase bears its own shade of blue, from powder blue to deep indigo. Local women repaint their homes twice yearly, mixing natural pigments with chalk to create colors that seem to glow in mountain light. These narrow passages lead past workshops where weavers create traditional blankets and leather artisans craft goods using methods passed down through generations. The old city walls stand as silent guardians around this blue paradise. Built by Moulay Ali ben Musa, Ben Rached el-Alami in the 15th century, these red stone fortifications create a striking contrast against the blue buildings within. 7 gates pierce these ancient walls, each one leading to different quarters of the Medina. From the ramparts, views stretch across the Rif Mountains to distant peaks, where snow lingers, even in summer months. Morning brings special magic to Chefchaouen as first light touches the blue walls. The city awakens slowly with calls to prayer echoing off mountain slopes while cats stretch on sun-warmed steps. This place exists outside of time, where Berber traditions blend with Andalusian influences brought by Muslims fleeing Spain 5 centuries ago. The Blue City continues to draw those seeking beauty and peace in Morocco's mountain sanctuary. Between Casablanca and the Blue Mountain City lies Morocco's capital. Atlantic waves meet imperial grandeur along Rabat's northwestern coast. As the kingdom's capital, this city balances modern governance with centuries of royal heritage. Whitewashed buildings rise above palm-lined boulevards, while ancient walls guard treasures that speak of dynasties past. Here, where the Beau Regreg River flows into the ocean, Morocco's political heart beats with a rhythm set by both progress and tradition. The mausoleum of Mohammed V stands as a masterpiece of modern Moroccan architecture, completed in 1971. Marble columns support a pyramid-shaped roof covered in emerald tiles that catch sunlight throughout the day. Inside, the tomb of Morocco's beloved king rests beneath intricate plasterwork and hand-carved cedar ceilings. Guards in traditional dress stand watch at each corner, their white robes and red fezzes unchanged since the mausoleum's dedication. Hassan Tower rises incomplete yet magnificent, its red sandstone reaching 140 feet into Rabat's sky. Construction began in 1195 under the Almohad dynasty, intended to support the world's largest mosque. Though never finished, the tower's geometric patterns and carved details reveal the ambition of its creators. Around its base, 200 columns stand like a stone forest, marking where the mosque's prayer hall would have sheltered 40,000 worshippers. The Kasbah of the Udayas crowns a cliff above the river mouth, its blue and white houses creating a village within the capital. Built in the 12th century as a fortress, these narrow streets now lead past doorways painted in shades of cobalt and azure. From the platform gardens, views stretch across the Atlantic, while below, fishing boats bob in waters that have carried traders and invaders for 1,000 years. Within these walls, time moves differently, measured by the calls of seabirds and the splash of fountains in hidden courtyards. East of the capital, past rolling farmland and cork oak forests, waits the oldest of Morocco's imperial cities. Fez stands as the spiritual and intellectual heart of the kingdom. Founded in the 8th century, this ancient city spreads across rolling hills where the Middle Atlas Mountains begin their rise. More than 1 million people call Fez home, yet time seems to move differently here. The city holds fast to traditions that have guided daily life for over 1,200 years. The Medina of Fez, known locally as Fes el-Bali, forms the largest car-free urban area on Earth. 9,000 narrow alleys twist through this walled city within a city. Donkeys and mules carry goods along paths too narrow for modern vehicles. Above street level, wooden balconies nearly touch across the alleyways, creating tunnels of shade. Craftsmen work in tiny shops using methods passed down through 40 generations. The sounds of hammering copper, weaving silk, and chiseling cedar wood echo off ancient walls. Al-Qarawiyyin University continues its mission of learning after more than 11 centuries. Founded in 859 by Fatima al-Fihri, a wealthy merchant's daughter, it holds the distinction of being the world's oldest continuously operating university. The complex includes a mosque, library, and teaching spaces where Islamic law, mathematics, and astronomy have been studied since before Europe's first universities existed. Its library safeguards manuscripts dating to the 9th century, including works on medicine, philosophy, and poetry. Students still gather in courtyards adorned with intricate tilework and carved plaster. The leather tannery district reveals medieval industry still alive in modern times. Stone vats filled with natural dyes create a patchwork of color visible from surrounding terraces. Workers stand knee-deep in the circular pools, treating hides with methods unchanged since the 11th century. The pungent smell of pigeon droppings used to soften leather fills the air. Mint leaves offered to visitors help mask the odor. From these ancient vats come leather goods prized across Morocco and beyond. The tanneries operate as they have for 900 years, a living link to Fez's commercial past. The ancient Medina gives way to open road as we journey southwest into the Middle Atlas Mountains. Here, the Ouzoud River plunges 330 feet down red cliff faces, creating one of North Africa's most spectacular cascades. The name Ouzoud comes from the Berber word for olive, honoring the ancient groves that surround these falls. The waterfalls themselves create a mesmerizing display of power and beauty. 3 major tiers send water crashing down, limestone cliffs stained red with iron oxide. Mist rises from the impact, catching sunlight to form rainbows that arc across the gorge. Traditional mills once ground grain, using the water's force, and their stone foundations remain visible along the upper paths. Wooden boats wait at the base pools, where local guides row visitors close enough to feel the spray on their faces. Throughout the olive trees and carob groves surrounding the falls, Barbary macaques make their home. These tailless primates represent the only wild monkey population in Morocco and one of the few remaining in all of Africa. Groups of 20 to 30 individuals move through the branches, mothers carrying infants while juveniles play among the leaves. The macaques have adapted to human presence over centuries, often approaching visitors with curious but cautious interest. Their rust-colored fur and expressive faces make them natural ambassadors for this protected ecosystem. The Ouzoud Canyon stretches beyond the waterfalls, carved deep into the Atlas foothills by millennia of flowing water. Red and orange rock walls frame the river valley, where oleander bushes bloom pink against the stone. Traditional Berber villages dot the canyon rim, their flat-roofed houses built from the same red earth that colors the cliffs. Walking paths wind along both sides of the gorge, offering views that shift from thundering water to peaceful pools where local children swim. The canyon preserves a way of life that has changed little over generations, where farmers still tend olive groves planted by their ancestors. From mountain mist, we descend to ocean spray. This fortified city rises from the shoreline like a whitewashed dream against azure skies. Trade winds that once filled the sails of Portuguese merchants still shape daily life here. The Medina walls stand strong against Atlantic storms, protecting a world where time moves to the rhythm of tides and tradition. The Essaouira Old City reveals itself through narrow passages and hidden squares. White and blue buildings create a maze of shadows and light within the Medina walls. Artisans work in tiny workshops, their hands shaping thuya wood into intricate patterns passed down through generations. The sound of hammers on metal mingles with voices haggling in Arabic and French. These streets have witnessed Portuguese sailors, Berber traders, and Jewish merchants, all leaving their mark on the stone. Down at Essaouira port, fishing boats paint the harbor in bright blues and greens. Seagulls circle overhead as fishermen haul in their daily catch. The smell of fresh sardines fills the air while nets dry in the afternoon sun. Local cats wait patiently for scraps near the fish stalls. This working harbor has fed the city for centuries, its rhythms unchanged despite the passing years. The Scala building stands as a silent guardian over the Atlantic waters. Portuguese cannons still point seaward from this 18th century sea bastion. Ocean spray has weathered the rampart walls to a golden hue. From these heights, the view stretches across endless ocean toward distant horizons. The fortress tells of pirates and invaders, of storms weathered and battles won, its stones holding memories of when Essaouira controlled vital sea routes between Europe and Africa. Inland from the coast, Morocco guards secrets far older than its medieval cities. The ancient Roman outpost of Volubilis rises from rolling hills 30 kilometers from Meknes. This Roman outpost once commanded trade routes between the Mediterranean and sub-Saharan Africa. Today, its columns and arches stand against the Middle Atlas Mountains, telling stories of an empire that reached deep into North Africa. The site spreads across 40 hectares of fertile plain, where olive groves still grow as they did 2,000 years ago. The Volubilis archaeological site reveals the grandeur of Roman urban planning in African soil. Stone streets run straight between foundations of houses, shops, and public buildings. The Arch of Caracalla marks the main thoroughfare, erected in 217 to honor the emperor who extended citizenship throughout the empire. Marble columns frame what remains of the capital, where Roman governors once administered this distant province. The Roman ruins of Volubilis preserve details of daily life frozen in stone and mosaic. The House of Orpheus displays intricate floor patterns depicting the mythical musician charming wild animals. Nearby, the House of the Labors of Hercules showcases 12 scenes from the hero's legendary tasks. These mosaics survived centuries of earthquakes and weather, their tiny tiles still forming dolphins, peacocks, and geometric patterns beneath Moroccan skies. The Volubilis Basilica anchors the forum, where citizens once gathered for commerce and justice. Its massive walls outline a space that served as courthouse and meeting hall for the ancient city. Stone benches line the interior, where magistrates heard cases under Roman law. From this elevated position, views stretch across the entire archaeological site to wheat fields beyond, showing why Romans chose this strategic location for their furthest African settlement. Roman columns fade in the rearview mirror as the road climbs higher. Morocco's mighty spine rises ahead, the high Atlas Range. These mountains rise like ancient guardians between the Sahara and the Atlantic, their peaks reaching over 13,000 feet into African skies. Snow crowns the summits, even as desert heat shimmers in the valleys below. The Berber people have called these heights home for thousands of years, their stone villages clinging to slopes where eagles soar and mountain streams carve deep gorges through red rock. Mount Toubkal commands the range as North Africa's highest peak, standing at 13,671 feet. The ascent begins in earnest from the village of Arumd, where mule paths wind upward through juniper forests and past shepherd huts built centuries ago. Summit mornings reveal a panorama stretching from the anti-Atlas to the distant Sahara. Winter transforms Toubkal into an ice-clad giant, while summer brings wildflowers to its lower slopes, where Berber guides share stories passed down through generations. Imlil village serves as the gateway to these heights, nestled in a valley where walnut trees shade terraced fields. Stone houses cascade down the mountainside, their flat roofs perfect for drying corn and apricots under the mountain sun. The weekly souk brings the valley to life as traders arrive with spices, textiles, and news from distant villages. From Imlil's narrow streets, ancient paths branch out to remote settlements where electricity arrived only decades ago. The Berber villages scattered throughout these valleys preserve ways of life unchanged since medieval times. In places like Arumd and Armed, families still tend terraced gardens, irrigated by channels carved by their ancestors. Women weave geometric patterns into carpets using techniques taught by their grandmothers. Children help herd goats along precipitous trails, while elders gather in small squares to share mint tea and memories. These communities thrive through cooperation, their adobe homes blending seamlessly into the mountain landscape they have inhabited since before written history. The mountain road winds downward toward the sea once more. Agadir emerges as a city reborn from tragedy along Morocco's Atlantic coast. This modern seaside destination rose from the rubble of a devastating earthquake in 1960, transforming loss into opportunity. Today's Agadir blends Berber heritage with contemporary beach culture, creating a unique coastal experience. The city spreads along a crescent bay where the Anti-Atlas Mountains meet the sea, offering visitors a different side of Morocco, far from the ancient medinas. Agadir port pulses with the rhythms of Morocco's fishing industry. Hundreds of blue boats return each dawn with their Atlantic harvest, filling the air with calls of fishermen and cries of seabirds. The port ranks among Africa's busiest fishing harbors, processing sardines that travel to markets worldwide. Visitors can watch the daily auction, where catches change hands in rapid-fire Berber and Arabic, a tradition that continues despite the port's modern facilities. Agadir Beach stretches for 6 miles along the Atlantic, its golden sands drawing sun-seekers year-round. The promenade runs the entire length, lined with cafes serving fresh orange juice and mint tea. Gentle waves make this coast ideal for swimming, while steady winds attract surfers to the northern sections. Even in winter, temperatures rarely drop below 60 degrees, making this Morocco's most reliable beach destination. Agadir city centre showcases Morocco's vision of modern urban life. Wide boulevards replace narrow Medina streets, while white buildings gleam under the African sun. The central market brings traditional commerce into contemporary settings, where spice vendors and craftsmen work alongside modern shops. From the hilltop Casbah ruins, visitors gain perspective on this Phoenix city that chose progress over nostalgia, yet kept its Berber soul intact. Along Morocco's Atlantic coast, where the Atlas Mountains fade into ocean swells, Taghazout emerges as a place where ancient fishing traditions meet modern surf culture. This small town, north of Agadir, has transformed from a quiet Berber village into Morocco's premier surf destination. The rhythm of waves against rocky shores sets the pace of life here. Traditional blue fishing boats share the harbor with surfboards, creating a unique blend of old and new Morocco. Taghazout Beach stretches golden beneath the African sun, its consistent waves drawing surfers from around the world. The beach curves for several kilometers, offering different breaks for various skill levels. Morning light reveals perfect barrels forming offshore, while fishermen cast nets from the rocks. The water stays warm throughout the year, making this stretch of coast ideal for those seeking waves in any season. The coastal surf town atmosphere permeates every corner of Taghazout. Surf shops and cafes line the main street, their terraces filled with sun-bronzed visitors sharing wave stories. The scent of fresh fish grilling mingles with ocean spray. Local Berber families have adapted to this new economy, many becoming surf instructors or guest house owners while maintaining their traditional ways. Taghazout village itself retains its authentic Berber character despite the international influx. Narrow alleyways wind between whitewashed houses, where locals still speak Tamazight. The weekly souk brings villagers from surrounding hills to trade goods as they have for generations. At sunset, the muezzin's call drifts over rooftops while surfers paddle back to shore, creating a scene found nowhere else in Morocco. The surf town fades as we turn inland toward Morocco's greatest wilderness. The Sahara stretches across the southeastern frontier, where the earth transforms into an endless canvas of gold and amber. Here, beneath skies unmarked by city lights, the desert reveals rhythms unchanged since ancient caravans first crossed these dunes. The Sahara holds Morocco's most profound silences and its most startling beauty. Camel trekking offers the truest way to experience this timeless landscape. These desert ships move with measured steps across the sand, their padded feet finding purchase where wheels would sink. Berber guides lead expeditions that follow routes their ancestors carved through the dunes centuries ago. As the sun sets, the caravan pauses while shadows lengthen across rippled sand, and the temperature drops from scorching heat to desert cool. The sand dunes themselves create a world of constant change within seeming permanence. Erg Chebi's towering formations rise 500 feet into the sky, their slopes shifting with each desert wind. At sunrise, these massive dunes glow orange and red, transforming the landscape into waves of fire. The sand holds stories in its grains, fossils from when this desert was an ocean floor, and minerals that sparkle like stars fallen to earth. Hidden among the vastness, desert oases appear like miracles of green against golden sand. Palm groves cluster around natural springs where water bubbles up from underground rivers. These life-giving pools have sustained desert communities for thousands of years, their shade offering refuge to travelers and wildlife alike. Date palms heavy with fruit lean over mud brick villages where time moves to the rhythm of seasons rather than clocks. Where the high Atlas Mountains meet the Sahara's edge, the ancient fortified village of Aït Benhaddou rises from the red earth like a vision from another time. This Ksar, or fortified city, has stood for nearly 900 years along the former caravan route between Marrakech and the Sahara. Its earthen walls and towers catch the desert light at sunrise and sunset, glowing with colors that shift from deep ochre to brilliant gold. UNESCO recognized this architectural marvel as a World Heritage Site, preserving one of Morocco's most complete examples of southern Moroccan earthen clay architecture. The Kasbah Aït Benhaddou forms the heart of this desert citadel. Its maze of passages and dwellings climbing the hillside in terraced layers. Built entirely from mud brick and rammed earth, these structures demonstrate the ingenuity of Berber builders who created lasting monuments from the simplest materials. Each family compound connects through narrow alleys and covered passages designed to provide shade from the fierce desert sun. Though most residents now live in the modern village across the river, a handful of families maintain the ancient Kasbah, keeping its traditions alive for visitors who climb the steep paths to reach the granary at the summit. The Kasbah towers punctuate the skyline with their distinctive geometric patterns and crenellated walls. These defensive structures once protected the wealthy merchants who controlled the trans-Saharan gold, salt, and slave trades. Each tower tells its own story through the decorative motifs pressed into the clay before it dried centuries ago. Film crews from Hollywood to Bollywood have used these towers as backdrops for desert epics, recognizing their power to transport viewers to distant times and places. At the base of the Ksar, Wadi Unila flows as a seasonal river that has sustained life here since ancient times. During the rainy season, this waterway swells with runoff from the Atlas Mountains, turning the valley green with date palms and almond trees. Local farmers still use traditional irrigation channels called kataras to direct water to their fields, following methods passed down through generations. The wadi provides a natural barrier that helped defend the Kasbah while offering the water essential for survival in this arid landscape where rainfall comes only a few precious days each year. Far to the southwest, another force shapes Morocco's landscape. The Atlantic's raw power has carved one of nature's most dramatic galleries along the coast between Mirleft and Sidi Ifni. Here, the elements have worked for thousands of years to create something extraordinary. This remote stretch of coastline remains one of Morocco's most photographed natural wonders. Two massive rock arches rise from the sand like ancient gateways to the sea. The larger arch soars over 100 feet high, its rust-colored stone glowing brightest at sunset. Ocean waves have hollowed out these natural bridges over millennia. Walking beneath them feels like stepping into a cathedral built by wind and water. The smaller arch collapsed in 2016, reminding visitors of nature's constant reshaping of this coast. The Atlantic Ocean coastline here offers more than scenic beauty. Powerful waves crash against the shore, creating a soundtrack that drowns out the modern world. Local fishermen still cast their lines from the rocks at dawn. The beach stretches for miles in both directions, often empty except for seabirds and the occasional camel caravan passing through. Low tide reveals tide pools filled with marine life among the scattered boulders. The Legzira cliffs form a natural amphitheater around this coastal wonder. These towering walls of compressed sandstone show layers of geological time in their striations. Wind erosion has carved caves and alcoves into the cliff faces. During certain times of day, the interplay of light and shadow creates an ever-changing canvas across the rock. The cliffs protect the beach from desert winds while framing views of the endless Atlantic horizon. From the sculptured coast, we return to the desert's edge. Zagora sits where the anti-Atlas Mountains surrender to the vast Sahara, a gateway that has welcomed travelers for centuries. This southeastern Moroccan town sits at the edge of the Great Desert, marking the last outpost before the endless sea of sand begins. Palm groves rise from the arid landscape like green miracles, sustained by the life-giving waters of the Dra River. A weathered sign at the town's edge still points toward Timbuktu, reading 52 days by camel, reminding visitors of ancient caravan routes that once connected civilizations across the Sahara. Zagora city itself pulses with the rhythm of desert life, where Berber traditions remain strong despite the modern world's intrusions. The weekly souk transforms the town into a vibrant marketplace, where nomadic tribes descend from surrounding valleys to trade dates, spices, and hand-woven carpets. Adobe buildings line dusty streets, their earthen walls providing cool shelter from the desert sun. As evening approaches, the call to prayer mingles with the distant sound of drums, while locals gather in small cafes to share stories over glasses of sweet mint tea. The Dra Valley stretches north from Zagora like a green ribbon through the desert, following Morocco's longest river on its journey from the High Atlas to the Sahara. This fertile corridor has nurtured human settlement for thousands of years, with ancient kasbahs perched on rocky outcrops overlooking the valley floor. Date palms, pomegranate trees, and small plots of barley create a patchwork of cultivation that defies the surrounding aridity. Villages built from sun-dried brick blend seamlessly into the landscape, their inhabitants maintaining agricultural practices passed down through countless generations. The palmerays of Zagora form one of Morocco's most extensive palm forests, where over 2 million date palms create a verdant oasis in the pre-Saharan landscape. These ancient groves follow traditional irrigation channels called qataras, underground tunnels that have carried precious water from the mountains for over 1,000 years. Walking beneath the palm canopy feels like entering another world, where filtered sunlight creates patterns on the sandy ground, and the rustle of fronds provides nature's own music. During harvest season, skilled climbers ascend the towering palms to collect dates that have sustained desert dwellers since time immemorial. Deeper still into the desert, past Zagora's palm groves and ancient caravan signs, the landscape transforms completely. Red earth gives way to golden sand as Merzouga appears on the horizon. The horizon stretches endlessly under a vast desert sky. This remote outpost serves as the gateway to one of Morocco's most profound natural wonders. The Merzouga Desert spreads before us like an ocean of sand. This section of the Sahara holds a special place in Morocco's geography. The silence here feels absolute, broken only by the whisper of wind across the dunes. As daylight shifts, the sand changes color from pale gold to deep amber. Desert life adapts to these harsh conditions with remarkable resilience. Small lizards dart between sparse vegetation, while desert foxes hunt in the cool of night. Rising from this sea of sand, the Erg Chebi dunes command attention with their sheer scale. These massive sand formations reach heights of 500 feet. The dunes stretch for 30 miles along the Algerian border. Each ridge and valley has been sculpted by Saharan winds over thousands of years. Climbing to the summit reveals views that seem to belong to another planet. The patterns in the sand below create natural artwork that changes with every storm. At the base of these towering dunes, Merzouga village maintains its desert traditions. The settlement has grown around ancient caravan routes that once connected sub-Saharan Africa with the Mediterranean. Local Berber families continue to live as their ancestors did for generations. Their mud brick homes blend naturally with the desert landscape. The village serves as a vital supply point for nomadic tribes who still traverse these ancient paths. Here, the rhythms of desert life continue unchanged, guided by the sun and stars above. As the daylight softens over the dunes of Merzouga and the last camel steps leave quiet prints in the sand, Morocco leaves its mark, not loud, but lasting. Here, time moves differently. In felt silence, beside an oasis, or in the high winds of the Atlas Range, centuries live on in faces, doorways, and distant songs. From the painted walls of Chefchaouen to the ragged red stone of Aït Benhaddou, each place holds stories that still breathe. Waves roll onto the shores of Taghazout, as they have for generations, while the cool mist at Ouzoud still draws macaques to the cliffside trees. Click on the video that's appearing now to continue your journey of the wonders of the world.